is Swahili for beautiful. Let's journey together here on Zuri TV, hand in hand, arm in arm. Let's navigate today's modern terrain, successfully climb the corporate ladder, raise happy families, build healthy relationships, and positively impact society the godly way. Join me, Ayanda Ali, as we wade through life's everyday challenges and discover God's beauty for ashes.
Hello, welcome to Zuri. We're cooking up a storm today. I'm preparing for our guests who'll be joining us to talk about gender roles, the norms, and the stereotypes. Should women still be pregnant and barefoot in the kitchen, waiting for our menfolk to go hunting and bring back the bacon? Or should we be right there alongside them, making sure that our families are sustained? That is our focus today. We are going to be unpacking that conversation and also taking a look at when the money does come, how do we divide the spoils? Later on in the show, we're joined by Pastor Jabu Hlongwane. He'll be chatting to us about being an author, being a businessman, and of course, being a musician. All that and more in just a moment. It promises to be a delicious episode, so make sure that you stay with us. Today we take a look at gender norms in the home, especially as they pertain to finances. Now, in the past, men were known as the hunters, right? And the women are the gatherers. So if the men bring home the bacon, we chop it up and we serve it to the family. But is that still the case today? Don't look at me, I don't have all the answers. That's why I have the panelists here to share some of their insight. Thank you so much for joining us. You're all broadcasters and creatives, and those also a musician, Lagaza. Thank you so much for joining us. And then we have Joe and Thabang Masanabo. Thank you very much for your time. Do, I'm going to start with you because your other half is not here today. And I asked you when you're like, he's working. We've got to eat. He's at work. Tell me a little bit about how things work in your home as well, because although he works as well, you also work as a musician, as an artist, as a creative. Both of you are busy. So both are bringing home the bacon. What happens financially?
No, there's absolutely no pressure, when there's someone who has a stable income at home. So you know that as a creative, you have to do what you want, you do how you want it, and you share the message the way you want it to be received by those whom you are sent to as an artist. We are spiritual beings. Yeah. We connect with people, and we are sent to different types of groups, so we can't all be doing one thing. So when I send a message, I'm sending to that specific group. So I can't be myself if I'm being pressured by the society, and if I'm being pressured by the things that are happening around me, the COVID, the finances, what pushed the financial struggles was mostly recently was COVID. Sure. And people were retrenched, and people lost their jobs, and people were losing gigs, especially us creatives. It was really tough. We saw even actors, they couldn't do anything because productions had to be cut because nothing had to move. So there was nothing happening during that phase. So imagine if all of you in the household, or both of you as parents in the house, and kids, they don't understand. They want food. They're hungry. So in terms of finances, my husband is very good with money.
Yeah, he's better. He's better at
He's better with money.
And you're happy to say, I'll give you that role.
Yes, and I'm very good with spending.
Yeah, your gifting is spending.
My gift is in spending. Yes. And I try to do it wisely.
Oh, come on.
Proverbs 31 wife.
Yes. Let's go to the Masanabos now. And talk to me a little bit about those gender norms, right? As I said in the intro, it used to be back in the days that you don't do anything, the man does everything. I know both of you work together, even on some of the productions, How does it work with the finances? Who's better at handling finances first between the two of you?
Okay, you go first.
So I think it's actually interesting to hear from her point of view, where there's two different streams. With us, everything is literally in one basket, so we work together, we live together, we do everything together. And I think that's the same approach that we have with our finances as well. I mean, we have a joint account and we also have separate accounts. And the logic behind it is that, whichever stream there is. We put it all in one pot, and then we decide how we're going to spend it, right? I do have to say that he is more responsible, especially in terms of the admin side of things, because I could just get lost in, I'm more appealed with what I see. So I'll just like something and I'll buy it, and he kind of handles, okay, we need to pay the school fees first, aftercare, extramurals, the bond, salaries on the other side. So for us, it's like a shared kind of responsibility.
I think we don't have any rules when it comes to our finances, and we're quite very open between the two of us. You know what I mean? I think for us, we don't worry about, we don't put our we don't focus on our finances. I mean, it's good to focus on them, but in our marriage, we are not obsessed. Who's got what, how much. We share everything together. Because our trust. I mean, it's good to have money, and the money, we love it.
It makes things a lot.
It makes things easier. Let's be honest. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we don't view, our resources. We don't put our trust, in our finances. We trust in God, that God is the one who provides. As Ndo mentioned, that our industry was hit hard as well by COVID. And what sustained us, in our finances, is our trust in God in terms of who's the source of our finances. So we're quite open and we're quite relaxed as a couple when it comes to money. It doesn't matter who's got money, So if I'm driving and Thabang's card is in the car, I use it, and if I am, and vice versa.
Would you have to ask maybe for a big purchase, like if it's a washing machine or something bigger, or you indicate, babe, we need a washing machine, I'm going to get a washing machine? Would you do the same for shoes?
No, so we have a big goal that we are aiming towards this year, right? So we've made a commitment, okay, we are cutting down on certain things because this is what we want to achieve this year, right? So for example, in that instance, I mean, I wanted to buy an expensive wig the other day. So I'm like, yo, babe, this is the situation. I know we said, but
did you really mean nothing at all?
Eventually she got it,
So it's more a case of just being transparent about it, so that I'm held accountable, and that he knows. So if he's using this card, that the last time he checked, this was what's available, and then I had it, just to say, okay, this is what I got, this is what I need, and then so it's very open.
I know it is very open. So I want to know, I thought that was actually quite interesting. I want to know from you, when you then have money that comes in through you for the family, what then happens to that? Do you save it? Do you also put it in the pot? Do you then say, I'm going to buy the things, as a bafazi for the women, the curtains, etc.? What do you do?
He's a traditional man. He's a very, very Zulu. Ubaba. And now I've even got it used to call him Ubaba. It's actually nice. I love it. So,
Yes.
So what happens is that when money comes through me, he says it's my money.
Okay.
So I must do whatever I want with it.
Yeah.
If I want to buy him something, it's okay.
Yeah.
I want to buy him something. If I want to buy the kids anything, like if I want to do anything with it, household, whatever, but it's my money.
Joe, you're going to have a difficult time finding a gap to enter the conversation. There are 3 women and 1 guy here. It's going to be tough for you. You should have said in the middle. But what are your thoughts?
Look, I mean, like Thabang's saying, you know what I mean? I'm not too fussy about money. Money is important. And I think, as long as, I agree what you're saying, that as long as there's mutual respect, and mutual understanding. And I think, number one, you need to value your partner, respect your partner, and value your marriage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, why are we married? Money is important. We know it plays a very key role, but would you rather lose your marriage, because of money, or would you rather keep your marriage and really work on the finances, So I strongly believe that it doesn't matter how much your partner makes, if, your wife makes more money, than you as a husband, she's blessed by God, there's nothing wrong with that, she's anointed, blessed by God, and she's gifted by God, and, God opens doors and opportunities for her, you see. So when you come at home And when you're about, so you need to understand what's the vision, you know, as a couple. Why are we together? You know what I mean? Because you can go out there as a woman and bring the money, and the husband might be able to use it effectively in terms of building the home. So I'm very easy when it comes to the issue of finances, and I think, you know, I see a lot of people, you know, that's where most people that, you know, when we engage them, that, you know, they have difficulty.
It's a source of conflict for
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
relationships.
Yes.
Many
And also a
relationships.
source of divorce.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, so we open about our investments, we open about our bank accounts. I can log on to my wife's bank account and make it a transfer. So for us, you know, and I would really advise other couples out there, you know, in terms like what I think about, you know, when it comes to marriage. So find what works for you. You know what I mean? But do not be invested. Do not put your heart, you know, on that structure, and don't set too many rules for yourselves, because people, it's very hard to keep rules. You know what I mean? So don't have, you know, be flexible. As Thabang is saying, I would say no initially, not because I don't want to do it for her, you know, because I'm thinking that, you know what, there are a few things that we need to prioritize. Then after that, you know, I will actually do it as a surprise for her.
Yeah.
I love it. Ndo, I'm taking notes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
As a point of departure, just, you know, what would you then say is something that is quite important when we talk about finances, you know, for couples and for families? What is that one thing that you think is important for us to take note of?
Okay, I think what has been said here, you all have said a mouthful, especially in terms of mutual respect.
Yes.
That is the most important thing. But another important thing as a couple, you need to understand each other's abilities.
Yes.
You need to understand the limits that you have. You need to also understand what extent can you go. And you also need to understand, Uguti, how far can you stretch your boundaries? Because you can stretch your boundaries until they break, until you break too, until you become pieces and you won't be able to communicate with your partner because you think the partner believes what you assume. And your assumptions in marriage are usually the cause of conflict, because you assume, because he said he doesn't want me to buy that, as he had mentioned that. So initially he would say no, and then later on change his mind. But remember, he said
still
no,
holding
she's
on
still
to-
holding
yeah.
on. And now that broke her somehow. But then he sometimes, because they're working together, he would think, oh, I think I told her that, no, maybe I changed my mind. And then it happens, and then something else happens, the same thing happens, and then she breaks. And then when anjalo mangitshela something, you don't take me serious, you don't listen to me, you don't take anything I say. So at the end of the day, we just need to understand each other and learn to listen to reason.
Can I just add?
Yes, please. Yes.
I think in essence for me, what is the takeaway is that we need to understand each other's roles.
Yes.
Right? So in the Bible, there were people who are of the tent and people of the field. Right? And I mean, in business, for example, my husband is the best dad ever. Like, he's the one who goes on all the school runs, you know, bring extramurals at him, you know, and he would literally leave me at the office while I work on proposals, while I work on, you know, and understanding that at that moment, that's what my role is, you know, and it's not in a superior role, you know, but it's just understanding where my competencies is at that place, you know, and appreciating that, so that we're able to cover each other's six, you know, have each other's back where he handles what I don't, and I also, you know, I'm proficient and fill the gaps. So I think it's just about understanding each other's roles and having grace.
Yep.
Right.
Having grace, because, you know, we're not perfect.
Yes. I love it. I love it. Equal in value, but different in function.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And whether I'm at home, I'm not working, and you are bringing in the money, value.
Who said I'm at home and I'm not working, darling? Yeah.
No, not you. I'm using as a hypothetical. So if I'm a housewife and I'm doing nothing but looking after the home, that is something as well. I'm making sure that there's food. I'm making sure the family's together. I'm making sure that your children go to school, guys. But my function, my role is just as important as the one who goes. Because if I also decide, okay, no, I'm also going to work, and you also work, and etc., then there's nobody to take home. So whatever the role is, whether you're working in the traditional sense or you're working in the home or whatever your contribution is, value that person.
Yes.
Right? And it shouldn't be, you know, whatever you're worth financially that makes you worthy or worthy of my love. Ooh, My goodness. Okay, let's leave it there. At least for now, yeah, no, Joe was never ever going to stand a chance with this that are chatting here. Let's keep the conversation going. Remember that you can always get in touch with us on social media. Let us know what you think. Let us know what your setup is and what works for you. Share that wisdom and insight with us. Let's take a break. Back with more in just a moment. Joining me now is author, musician, businessman, and pastor Jabu Hlongwane. It's such a pleasure to see you. Welcome to Zuri.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
A little bit earlier, we were talking about something that's a little bit controversial. We're talking about household finances and the rules and the norms, who does what. I want to know, who's the Minister of Finance in your home? Who holds treasury?
Everybody's Minister of Finance for themselves. No, but I take care of stuff.
Okay, what stuff?
Okay, before I got married,
Yes.
I sat down and we had a discussion, which is what couples should have. I think it helps. I'm like, what are your expectations about money when we get married?
Okay.
Who do you think should buy a house? Who do you think should buy a car for us? What are your expectations? So most of the time people take their expectations from where they come from. Where she came from was the father bought the house, bought the car, bought stuff, take care of everybody, and then the mother would take care of the household.
Yeah.
So her expectations were coming from that background. So when I asked her that, she said, of course you should buy a house.
Yes.
Whatever.
You pay the bond.
Houses, whatever. Cars, it should be you, you know.
Yeah.
Furniture, I could help out.
I'll do the curtains.
You know.
Yes.
And whatever. I'm like, okay, how do you deal with that if I can't make enough money to do that?
Yeah.
And you do have money. She says, I will do it.
Okay.
Right? And luckily, as time went by, I could make money enough to do that. Then that's it.
You're on the same page. Okay, I want to talk about your rich legacy in the creative space, in the music industry. It's evolved now, you know, you've written a book, now you're in business, etc. My word, what has sustained you all these years?
When you speak about it, and when people speak about it, it's like they're not talking about what I've done. I mean, if you're my age and you've done less, you haven't lived. There are people who have done quite a bit that are younger than me. You understand? But what I always say is, even though we need to acknowledge what people have done, but most of the time we do far less than we should have done.
I think so.
Oh yeah, we do. I mean, if you take a 12-hour, one day has 24 hours. Yeah? If you allocate everything you've done in every hour, you'll find that half the time you don't know what you were doing. You understand? If not more than half the time.
Especially if you're having a lazy day.
You understand?
Yeah.
If you sit down today and say, yesterday I woke up at one time, what did I do in that hour? What did I in the next hour and stuff? You find that you don't know what you did. Now imagine this. If it's like that, it means you don't know what you did with half your life. And maybe that's why you have achieved half the stuff you thought you would achieve in your life. Because we are not intentional. We wake up and we like, okay, no, I'll go there, or I'll go there. But we are casual in our life, we're not intentional. So if you are intentional, you achieve quite a bit. I mean, God is a genius for thinking of a 24 hours. 24 hours, if you maximize on the 24 hours, I promise you'll achieve amazing. I don't think I've achieved half the things I've supposed
What
to achieve.
more would you want to have achieved? Because I sit here, you know, and again, maybe things are dependent on your perspective. So from the outside looking in, we can count and say, yeah, joyous celebration. We can sit back and say, you know, then there's the business side of things. We can look and say, you know, then you write the book, you give the talks, you preach and all those things. And from my perspective, my position, I think this is a life well lived and it's still ongoing. What more would you say if I was intentional at an earlier age, this is what I would have wanted to achieve?
At this age, my
What is this age? Because we keep on saying this age. You want to tell us?
Mature.
Mature age.
At this
You'll
stage.
tell us the region, not the number.
That's how it works.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, my biggest thing was now I'm supposed to be a professor a visiting professor in different parts of the world, you know, and I'm supposed to be imparting not only in South Africa, but all over the world. Because the thing is, when you grow up and do what you do and what God has created in you, because there's a thing, when God creates anybody, God creates you for one thing, not many things. One thing. A spoon, a fork, and knife is created for one thing. Jesus was created for one thing. He walked on water. He raised the dead on his way to that one thing. Now, the problem, when we walk on water, we start a business, a water business. We define ourselves with the water. We raise the dead, we go to a mortuary. We want to raise everybody there. We print T-shirts and postcards and whatever. That's a thing. You're sitting here, whatever that you're doing now, maybe this is not what you're meant to be doing.
Maybe I'm on the
You are
road
on
too.
your way to that.
Okay.
So it's important for us to say, don't celebrate yourself and define yourself with what you've done well.
Ooh.
Because it imprisons you there. People think I'm a musician. I've never studied music one day in my life. Music is a way of going to where I'm supposed to go. And when people imprison me there, they see me as that. They don't benefit from any other thing that I am. What is in me is not music. I can do music now without blinking. But this is not what I'm created for. What I'm created for is beyond what you see.
Now, 2 questions, and they're related. Firstly, how do you discover that purpose? Because you're right in saying that you succeeded one thing, it defines you. You become too scared to even venture out and try something new now because what will people say? This is what I'm known for. So my first question to you, how do you discover that this is just a pit stop, it's not the purpose? Here's my purpose. Then number 2, what would that be for you? So how do you discover your original purpose and what's your original purpose?
Okay, the first one. When God creates something, whether it's a person or whatever, just like a person who created the camera, they create the camera for a purpose of capturing us and taking us to a screen. That's the purpose. When God creates you, he puts what he has created you in you and he wraps it up in time.
Okay.
That's very important. That is why your child will be playing. You can see a child, what's inside the child. They'll be dancing on the table, they'll be banging things, or they'll be performing, they'll be modeling and stuff. You know, there's something in this child. Now, this is the problem. Parents and people in the house are the first ones to say, "Hlala phansi uyapapa." You're making noise. Don't do that, don't do that. And the child, when it grows, they think, in order to live peaceably with these people, I have to stop being myself. Then you learn not to be yourself. When you are grown, you've mastered being what people accept. That is why we easily slide into spaces, because we have learned this art of saying, oh, here they expect this, then I'll be this. Here they expect this, then you end up not knowing who you are at all.
Come on.
You have suppressed who you are completely. Now, that is why before we started shooting, when you get married, you have a partner. You become what you are not. As a gentleman, you do this, you do that. You open the door, you call her 3 times a day and stuff. Because you've learned this. And as a lady, you put on that perfume, you do all kind of stuff. When they come visit you, they see all things are in order. Stuff has been packed into the cupboard.
You don't show your true colors right up front.
We have mastered that. We have pressed so deep what we really are to an extent that we don't know what it looks like or how it feels like. Now, we need to go back and dig deep to find that. So it's not an easy thing. It needs to be an intentional thing to say, who am I? Which is a very dangerous and scary thing, because you need to peel up stuff. You see, where we work, people have this thing, abantu bazothini, people expect this of me, people expect that of me. I see a young person, they release a song and they are now an artist and stuff, and they go to some interview like this one, they're wearing dark glasses, they're like, because people expect that, even when you speak, and then people expect me to drive a big car, you go borrow money to, we pretending.
You become imprisoned in this
we learned this thing. Now, this means you need a session that will help you to go back into who you really are. So that when people think I'm a musician, I'm a musician, I get like angry because I'm not a musician. There's more to me. Right now, I'm on my way to what I really am.
Pastor Jabu, I have already seen what your possibly more is. Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, I'm not the only one who's been taking mental notes. So we're going to have to rewind and make sure that we catch everything that you said. I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I wish we had more of it, but unfortunately, that's where we leave it for now. I think let's catch up on social media. Let's continue this conversation. Let me know what you thought. What are some points that stood out for you, and what would you like to highlight and really press in on? That's so important that we continue to grow, to develop, and be empowered so we can be the best version of ourselves. Let's leave it there, at least for now. And that is how we bring to a close yet another episode of Zuri. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been good to have you with us. I think for me, throughout the course of this episode, 3 things have really stood out. And the first one being humility. Look, we don't all have the same strengths. If you are better at handling finances than I am, then I should be humble and sit down and let you operate in the fullness of your strength. So humility is the first prayer point that I'd like to jot down here for us to pray about throughout the course of the week. Humility. But I think in the same breath, just because you're better at handling finances than I am does not mean that you should lord it over me and make me feel small. I think it's important that you should respect one another and whatever strengths you have and what you contribute to the table. So RESPECT, find out what it means to me. Let's write that down as another prayer point there. Respect. Just a little bit. All right. And closely linked to all the prayer items for today is value. At the end of the day, if you can value the next person and see them for what Christ says they are, a beautiful creation and a reflection of who God is, then we definitely will have a better world. And so I think the third prayer point should be value. When all is said and done, let's value each other. Let's write value over here. There we go. Ephesians chapter 4 verse 32 says, be kind to one another, tender-hearted too, forgiving each other even as God in Christ has forgiven you. So let's walk in love, let's value each other, let's be humble, and let's respect one another. Let's keep the conversation going on social media as well. Get in touch with us. We love to hear from you. The details are on screen now. Until next time, goodbye to you and God bless you.